Alright, we got the Granada in the shop today, and we're going to see if we can fix that power steering leak at the rack and take it out and rebuild it, put it back in. Hopefully that'll work. I've already replaced the rack in this once, probably almost 20 years ago at this point, because the original engine that was in it, the motor mounts were so bad it would rock back and forth, and the oil pan was rubbing against the rack, and it actually wore a hole right in the body of the rack, and it started leaking. This time I think it's just the seals inside the rack. Hopefully with this bigger engine I've got in here, I'll still be able to pull the rack out without too much trouble. But let's go ahead and jack her up and see what she looks like. Alright, we're under the car now and we can kind of see what we're dealing with. I was worried that maybe this hump would get in the way. I don't think the original engine had this hump, but looks like there's enough room to get it wiggled out of here, I think. Gotta get these big bolts out and then all the lines and everything, and it should, I think, slide down through there. Originally the oil pan actually wore a hole right in the top of the rack on the first engine, so had to go that time. But now you can see I got a little bit of a leak coming from the outside of the boot there, which means that something in here is leaking and just coming out the boot. So I'll have to mop that up and get a pan under here or something and start taking her out. Alright, I got the rack out of the car here and I've cleaned it off a little bit so we can start tearing it apart here. I think I'm going to start with this boot, which is already kind of junk, and see if I can get that tie rod off, because this is the side where all the fluid's coming out. Doesn't mean it's necessarily leaking right there. It could be going through this little tube. I'm not sure, but we're going to pull the boot off, see if we can get that tie rod off, because I don't want to have to take that nut off if I don't have to, but we'll see. Well, I got this boot off, and you can see it's just packed with crap in there. It looks like dirt. I'm thinking dirt got in there. Might have been a gopher mount or something. Came in this end and filled it up with dirt. Even this little tube is full with kind of a mixture of dirt and power steering fluid. Not good. So I imagine that the seal way inside there is what's leaking. It's in the middle. I think you got to get to it from the other side. So yeah, the whole thing's going to have to come apart. Great. Alright, I got both the tie rod ends off, and yeah, you can see all the crud and crap in this one. You can see rust. Probably see, there you go, you can see some rust on the cylinder itself in there, so that's not good. This side's full of goo. I think that probably came across the tube that goes across here, but yeah, not good anyway. We got to tear it all apart to get to the seal in there, and I'm going to clean that up, see if I can clean that rust up out of there, and then we'll replace that. But I'm pretty sure I got to pull all this off to get to it anyway, so we're going to have to tear it down the whole way. And I suppose I should probably order some boots. This one's fine, but this one's got that big hole in it. I don't want a bunch of water and crap getting back into this thing when I put it back together, so I'll have to go in and see if I can order one of those. Well, alright, I got a bunch of parts and about half my toolbox laid out on the hood of this car here, but I got the rack out, which is the important piece. As you can see here, this was my problem. I got the rack is all pitted and rusted, nasty, and that's right where the seal rides, so I'm going to have to see if I can clean that up a little bit and clean up all the rest of this stuff. And I'm also going to have to see if I can get inside here and pull that seal out, because the seal actually sits right about in here, and I got to come in through this end. I don't know if you can see it very well, but I got to come in through this end because there's no way to push it out. So I think I'll grab maybe my slide hammer, see if I got a little hook I can grab onto that, and yank that thing out, and then start cleaning. After I'm done with that, I'll throw it back together and get some new boots, and hopefully it'll work. Alright, I've started to clean up this rack here with some sandpaper. I can still feel it a little bit, so we're going to keep going with it. I'm not going to be able to get it all out, but should make it so it won't cut that seal anymore anyway. And I managed to get that seal out of that housing. That was a real pain. I had to take the slide off my slide hammer and put a washer on the end of it there. And then I stuck this in and got the washer kind of behind the back of the edge of the seal, which was not easy. Got it in there, and then I came in from the other side with this pry bar, and I got that under there so it would push the washer up in behind the seal, and I was able to hammer it out. So that took way longer than it should have, but at least now it's all apart. I can get everything kind of cleaned up here and throw it back together, and hopefully it's going to work. Alright, I got it all cleaned off and put back together. Got the new boots on. I think I might have this in the wrong spot. It might have to go down, but I'm going to see if I can throw it in, see if it fits that way, and if it does, I'll leave it alone. If it doesn't, I just got to turn the boots downward, and should be good. So let's throw it in, see if I fixed it or completely destroyed it. Alright, I got the rack back in. Hopefully everything's hooked up right. I went ahead and I left the jam nuts there loose because I'm sure I'm going to have to adjust this a little bit. But for now it should be fine to test and make sure it somewhat works at least. So now all I got to do is clean out under the car and clean off the hood here. And we throw some fluid in it, fire it up, and see if it leaks. Alright, rack's in. I got the reservoir topped off with fluid. Let's fire it up, and I'll turn the wheel back and forth and then come back out here and we'll look for leaks, and then I'll have to add more fluid, I'm sure, because it's just a reservoir that's filled now. But let's see if this thing will work. Well, oh, I hate batteries. Alright, a little stiff, but I suppose there's no fluid in there. It seems to be moving. Let's check the fluid levels. Alright, I got it all topped off. I went ahead and I fired it up a few times and turned the wheel back and forth, and each time between when I did that I let the foam kind of settle out. So I think I got all the air out. I don't see any big leaks. I did spill some down there, so it's sort of hard to tell, but I think we're good. I'm going to go ahead and take her off the jack stands and park her back in the spot, because we're supposed to get some snow, I think, tomorrow, and I don't want this stuck in here. So we'll get it out and see how good the steering works when it's on the ground. Alright, let's get this thing out of here and park it back where it belongs. Should start, I think. A little cold-blooded, but that's alright. Oh yeah, it turns like a dream now. Not quite perfectly lined up, but might have to do, I don't know. Yeah. There we go. Just plow through the snow, she'll be fine. Works pretty good. Now hopefully in the spring I can take her out and actually drive it.